Hi, I'd like to talk to you today, taking just a short break from welcoming and the building, about budget and the building. And I want to do that because it's been a long time since we approved this project. And over time, things get muddy in your head, my head. And as I was looking at the budget the other day, I thought, it's important to help people understand what we've done and what took the most oomph in our project, in our redesign. So, what you see here is a table, and the table represents um, basically, the little stuff isn't in there, but basically it represents what got the biggest portions of the 2.1 million we spent on our building. Now, most of you know that the sanctuary was built in 1840, and it's been upgraded since then, but not a lot. And the parish hall was built in 1920. That's 100 years ago. And it's been upgraded a bit here and there since then, but not a lot. So the first thing we needed to do was to bring the building infrastructure into the 21st century so that we could have a 21st century ministry. Now, some of this stuff you don't see when you walk in the door. Most of this stuff you don't see when you walk in the door. It's the kind of thing that you can build on, but isn't very visible. It's not something you point to when a visitor comes. Let me show you. So we spent $440,000 on a heating and cooling system. We spent $137,000 on insulation. That's well over $500,000 just on the heating and cooling and the insulation. We took a building which had an oil boiler and we brought it into a non-fossil fuel, high efficiency heating system. That's huge. But when you walk in the door, you don't, say, oh, look, interesting ducts. We put in an elevator for $150,000. Why? Because we want to make the building accessible. We really want to welcome all, which we'll talk more about later next time. Site work on the outside cost us $240,000. Much of it was putting in a new stairway and a new vista out front. And that's still in progress, but it's gone a long ways. If you remember, the stairway before was about like this. You walk off the top flat space and you drop quick. Not friendly, not inviting. We wanted to welcome all. That's what we did, but it took some dollars. The electrical system, $243,000, $250,000, just to bring our electrical system back up into some kind of reliable, it ain't going to burn down and it's useful kind of status. Plumbing cost us $150,000, partly to replace old plumbing, partly to put in a lot of bathrooms and showers, and to make those non-gendered. That costs money, $150,000. Overhead, $261,000. That's a percent. That's what the contractor gets. You don't see it in the building, but to get the other stuff done, that's what you got to pay. All told, that comes up to $1,780,000. That leaves $320,000, 15% of the budget to do the walls and framing of the bathrooms, to do the drop ceilings, to redo the chancel area, to redo all the floors, to do a new nursery, to add new hallways, to add new doors, to replace doors that need replacing, to do painting, to add a new library room at the back of the sanctuary. The last house I moved into in Springfield, Illinois, was a great house. It was built almost the same time as the sanctuary. It was built in 1870. And I bought it from a Lincoln scholar. And that was big for me. He could tell me all the connections or the possible connections with Abraham Lincoln. And I can see a little old remnant of a road in my yard. And I can stand in that road and think, Abraham Lincoln probably took his carriage on that road to do his law. And it was great. And the inside was great wallpaper. The draperies were to die for. It was just really well appointed. And not very expensive in Springfield. But what I'm getting to, I had to replace the furnace. It had a vent like this. And I had to do a repaint of the whole outside of the house because it was flaking and there was danger. It was going to start eroding some of the clapboards and rotting them out. And I had to replace the roof because the roof was starting to leak. The money that they had put in the house when they owned it primarily went to the look of the insides. And when I got there, I had to do the stuff that nobody saw. We have just done, by and large, the stuff that nobody sees that will maintain the building and make it more efficient and green into the future. And we've gotten some drapes too. We've gotten some things that have made the inside of the building look better, be more efficient. We've got lots of doors, we've got new hallways, we've got some new rooms. But that was only 15% of the project. Most of the project went to electricity and upgrading the plumbing and upgrading the heating and cooling system and making the place accessible. And accessibility is an expensive thing for an old building. So I just wanted to share that with you, just that perspective and that kind of expectation. You're going to see some cool things when you go in the building for the first time. But what you don't see is where most of our resources and money and work went into that will build the kind of foundation or provide the kind of foundation upon which I hope we can build. Thanks for your time.